All right, you guys, welcome back to the Hope Ignited table. We have a show for y'all today.
Oh, it's a fun one. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Dancing with the Stars, Hope Ignited version, maybe
right.
we could
This
call
is
it
a
that.
dance theme today. So if you guys are into dancing, we're gonna be going all in.
What kind of dancing are we talking?
I don't know. Like a little ballet, maybe a little I don't know, lambada, the forbidden dance.
Hip hop.
Hip hop, sure.
Hip hop,
sure,
lyrical.
yeah.
Did you know that I was a dancer in high school?
Really?
Yes.
Kim, what'd you do?
An appropriate dancer. I just want to say that.
Okay,
I'm from
good.
Monroe, Louisiana, but I was a classy dancer.
Yeah.
So I am 5 foot tall on a good day.
Uh-huh.
But on every single high kick dance team, they need somebody to be the end of the line. And basically what that means is I had to make up double the steps of everybody else because they had these long, beautiful legs. But I was think Radio City Rockettes,
You're
obviously.
the end table?
Like Kilgore Ranger. I was
Yeah.
the
Where people put their coffee mugs?
pretty much. That's me. I still have the stains. But
Yeah.
the white boots, they were kids when I was there. The Capezio shiny tights,
Uh-huh.
leotard, big white cowgirl hat. We were the ones that marched out, pranced out like little reindeer.
You still have that uniform?
And I do not have the uniform, nor could I fit in it. I will say this sounds kind of gross, but we literally, those uniforms were so expensive that you would be buying somebody from 1992's
Oh no!
uniform. So
it was recycled.
Yes,
times, probably never washed.
You had to find somebody who was your size.
Smell like Cajun seasoning.
Exactly. Tony Sachery's
Pieces of alligator in
That's
it.
it. It was a Tony Sachery's drill team costume, basically, is what I'm saying. But shout out to the real dancers out there. That's one thing that I will always have on you is that I was a legit dancer whenever I was in high school.
That's funny you say that because I got a little secret. I've been we do a lot of goal writing at the beginning of the year, and one of the ones is I've wanted to become a better dancer.
Like hip hop?
Well, not so much. I've been working on dancing. I've always been inspired by the fluidity of ballet, and so
I never knew that about you. We have a lot of dancers here.
I was in the gym a little bit earlier working on some moves, and I think it's important to kind of gear up. So
What?
So look, I'm working on my toe point right now.
Did you just had that on?
Well, I mean, my ankles are cold.
Are you okay
They're
right
called
now?
leg warmers for the uninformed.
How did that go for you? How are you feeling right now?
My foot is cramped up like an eagle claw.
You have talent.
I really can't uncramp it. I'm not even joking.
I kind of think it's weird. Are your what color?
I went about 5 seconds too long on the toe point.
What color are your socks?
They're black. I don't worry about that as much. The leg warmer, though, I will say this: I went on to buy those and
recently because this is your late
on Amazon 1 day shipping. They showed up at my house and my wife was like, "Hey Ellie," to our daughter, "your leg warmers are here." And why do you have leg warmers? And I'm like, oh, excuse me, those are mine.
We're going to have one episode where we're not sweating because it's so awkward.
Yeah, we've shot a couple of these recently, and for whatever reason, I just come out like I went to war. I've got injuries. I'm sweating and bleeding, and then you're just pristine. So we need to switch this around.
I appreciate it. I can be in costume or theme from time to time, but I also really appreciate that you don't tell me these things.
I wish that you would wear that uniform. That would be the funniest thing ever.
There's no way. Yeah, we'll write West Monroe High School and see if they still have.
Okay, so guys, we got something fun here. We want to start engaging y'all in the comments a little more. So the in vogue thing to do is to do lists, right? So we decided that we were going to do our top 3 favorite dance movies of all time, and we're going to kind of, judge each other's,
all that really, mine's better than yours. I know that without even knowing your movies. I 100%
don't think so.
know.
Actually, I mean these are iconic. I mean, okay, we'll give it a fair chance.
But keep in mind, you're 75 years older than me. So I feel like mine are going to be Disney animated dance movies.
Glenn Miller accompanied
nobody even knows
choreography.
Nobody even knows what that means.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a black and white film that was silent. Google it. Actually.
It's right before color.
Yeah.
Okay, so top 3 favorite dance movies. Now, I asked her to do this, and then I did it, and it includes musicals, by the way, which is just incredible.
But they dance in the musicals.
Right. I mean, dance needs to be a theme of it. Like, for instance, Saving Private Ryan is not a dance movie, right? So
there's another version of that movie that was a dance
the
movie.
musical, but Saving Private Ryan the musical.
This is a family show.
Right. So anyway, that being said, let's launch into our list.
Starting from from the bottom to the top.
So 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So my first one, and man, I'm proud to say this is my favorite musical of all time.
Here we go.
It straight up is La La Land. Not to be mistaken with the Moonlight or whatever, the one where they mistakenly read off Best Picture of the Year.
Remember that? I do
Oscars?
remember that. No, can we just have a moment for Ryan Gosling? He was just on SNL.
Oh yeah, well he's always funny on that.
The Beavis and Butthead skit.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
La La Land is so good. I'll give you that one because
the chemistry they had, the actual music is just phenomenal.
What do you think of her?
Oh, she's great. I mean, the two of them together, like I said, the chemistry they had, they both sing. She is a straight up singer.
Yeah, no.
So I mean, it's just great. I expected to hate the movie. I don't even know why I watched it. It was like probably watching it with my family, and then I went, wait a minute. Music really got me.
I'm here for any Ryan Gosling talk.
Right,
okay, my number 3. This one's going to be a little controversial. Pure Country.
Oh, the classic.
Do you know why it's a dance movie? First of all, the answer is always Jesus and then George Strait. We know that to be true. But in Pure Country, he falls in love with her because they're line dancing. She's a line dancer.
Right.
So there's country dancing in Pure Country.
It's definitely country music.
So you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the fact that George Strait did the soundtrack, Amarillo by morning.
Not from that movie, but what a great song that was.
Dusty. That sounded good in the...
Dusty.
George Strait's awesome. Okay, we got to go to number 2 here. My number 2 is an absolute classic. Don't you dare disrespect this. Dirty Dancing. Patrick
what if that
Swayze,
was my number 2 or my number 1?
I don't know. Is it too old? It was in the 80s.
No, and there's some National Breast Cancer Foundation history with Dirty Dancing. Actually, we've done the lift in a local field day here with adults. We'll have to make sure that we insert that photo because what a moment.
One of our employees, we got Michael to shout out to Michael. We got him to dress up like Jennifer Grey and lifting him up in the air.
He was promised that photo would never be seen by anybody.
It's just going to stay here today, Michael. No one outside of the 100 or so people are going to see it.
Dirty Dancing is good. I feel like yours are better than mine so far. Not better than George Strait, but maybe your movies are better than mine so far. Okay, my number 2. This one actually is going to be better. Are you ready? My number 2 is The Greatest Showman.
Oh yeah. Greatest Showman.
It was
phenomenal
so
musical.
Good. And then what's his face from High School Musicals in it?
Zac Efron?
Yes, thank you for knowing his name. And he dances, Zendaya, and he's so good. And Hugh Jackman. Yes.
Wolverine.
I know every word to every song. I can do the dance moves. The Greatest Showman is a really good one.
That's a solid choice. I think I agree with you on that. That would definitely make top. That's definitely one of maybe my second favorite musical.
I like it.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
Grease is up there too, by the way. Musicals.
What? That could have even been a dance number.
Just thought about that.
Dang it. I want to know your number 1.
Okay, number 1, the greatest music-centered movie of all time, Footloose.
That's good.
Footloose in the 80s it changed everything. I actually think it changed cultures in small towns.
Before I was born.
Because it was this rebellion theme that was going on with the teenagers and the adults. And, Kevin Bacon was so cool that launched him out. But all the music's great. Kenny Loggins. Oh my gosh.
Who else was in that movie besides Kevin Bacon?
I can't even remember.
Were there any notable actors
but they're all
or
connected
actresses?
to him with at least 6 degrees.
Yeah, that really does work. We should play that sometime. That's wild. Footloose is good. I like Footloose. Again, I think the common factor with all these is you can picture the dancing, but I hear the music too, which is really cool, right? It powers the moves. Okay, my number 1.
Number 1, Ashley.
I really hope that you know it. I'm telling you, if you are a fan of dance, if you are a fan of just the art of dance, you're going to know this movie. My number 1 is Center Stage. Best dance movie ever of all time. Ever.
Hold a gun to my head. I have no idea what movie that is.
Edit that part out.
One?
We Center Stage is the greatest dance movie of all time. I cannot believe you don't know it. Yes, you do.
Well, now that I'm into ballet, I will have to
It's your
feast on this movie tonight.
Okay, speaking of ballet,
But
you want to talk about an iconic dancer. Speaking of the GOAT, the greatest dancer of all time, do y'all even know who we're going to have in studio in just a few short hours?
an absolute legend.
Jazzy Jeff Amsden is going to be
Amsden.
right here at the Hope Ignited table.
Right.
Can you believe that?
No, I can't. In fact, when you hear some of the things he's done, a lot of times the dancers don't get as much credit. They're not out there, as visible as
For sure.
the
Or like,
the
him when you
entertainers,
see
but
him. You know him when you see him.
But specifically, like one of the things that just immediately stood out when we were able to book him was hearing that he was the actual in Paula Abdul's video "Blowing Kisses in the Wind." One of her when Paula Abdul came on the scene back
Before I was born.
Oh my gosh! She blew up. Her first album blew up. But he is actually the male dancer. He is her dance partner in that video. And
abs for days.
Oh yeah. The guy was like, he was ripped, and all that. But read off some of the stuff that he's done.
No, I mean, I would just say bringing it back to our generation for the millennials
Well,
that are
Paula
watching
Abdul's
the
still
show.
doing stuff, right?
She is.
Yeah.
I actually paid to see her in concert. She was great.
Yeah.
She still, I would probably pay to see him perform with her in concert. Maybe I have, and I didn't even know it. But he also was a part of the 2022 Cinderella live action remake. So my kids, we all watched that. That was a really big deal. The guy from Seinfeld was in that.
Dance,
Yeah,
all these dance videos and movies.
He's insane. This is important. I want to make sure that I get this. So every single Tuesday, he's local here to DFW, which is one of the great reasons we were able to book him. Thank goodness. But every Tuesday, he flies to Orlando, Florida, where he teaches at the American Dance Machine. His students, get this, that have appeared on Broadway in films, videos, and concerts, have danced with Britney Spears, Janet Jackson, and Christina Aguilera.
Oh, my word.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Just a few little known people that
I know. All I want him to do is hold your leg up.
It's we won't put that on that guy to have to do that. Sorry, we're not going to make you do that, Jeff. Don't worry.
No heavy lifting when you're
you
here.
can show up anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of that, though,
All right.
we will go ahead and get you guys into our episode. You guys give it up for Jeff Amsden.
Here we go.
All right, you guys, we are back at the Hope Ignited
Welcome back.
table, and we have got an amazing show for y'all today. I know that we've talked a lot about him, but officially, welcome to our studio, Jeff Amsden.
Thank you.
All right, Jeff.
Yes.
Very honored to be here. I appreciate it. Thank you
Oh my
very much.
gosh. Okay, so I just want to start off with this, and sorry we haven't had a chance to talk to you about it, but what we prepped with today, because we consider ourselves professionals in all ways, which is nowhere near the truth.
CSI.
Yeah, exactly. We talked about our favorite dance movies of all time. So I just feel like we should really kick it off today by telling you our top,
Okay.
and then you have to vote on who was right.
Okay.
Yeah. Who's closer to being, accurate on the actual best?
Really, you can just go ahead and give Kevin honorable mention because
No.
just go for
Okay.
mine's gonna win.
All right. So my number 3 for me was.
Wait, you're doing all three? Oh,
Right?
it's fine. It's fine.
We'll just blast through it.
No,
quickly
I'll do all
here.
3. Okay.
Okay. La La Land
Okay.
musical. What are your
Yes.
thoughts about La La Land?
Choreographed by my friend Mandy Moore.
Stop.
Mandy. Two things. Mandy Moore, which is
can't.
awesome.
Very good friend
She's
of mine.
amazing.
Yeah.
Stop
Really?
it.
No
Yeah.
kidding. Mandy
No, I
Moore.
love her
But-
so much.
So she
She's a
choreographed it?
genius. Yeah.
She
What
is
an
a genius.
amazing.
She's a total genius.
Also,
yeah.
side note, one of the only females in the world that can go from blonde to dark and still look so hot.
That's the same
She's
Mandy
so
Moore,
good.
right? The singer, Mandy
No,
Moore.
it's not the.
Okay,
same-
okay,
it's
Oh,
Mandy
oh.
Moore, the
See, we went down
choreographer.
that.
But
That's
Mandy
right.
Moore is
Same
the
exact
other
name,
one,
though.
though. Oh.
The actress, I love Mandy Moore.
What
too.
color
Yeah.
is the choreographer's hair?
Blonde hair.
Oh, there you
I
go.
was about to say Mandy Moore, the choreographer. Anyway, so La La Land, yeah, so it's
Amazing.
good.
Yeah.
Thumbs up on that. All right, so you're number 3.
Pure Country.
Okay.
You're a
Oh,
you're a
I can
barrel
tell
racer.
immediately
There's
he's
line
like,
dancing.
Yeah.
George Strait dances on purpose, and we all live to see it.
I love line dancing because it's something everybody can do.
Amen.
Everyone can participate.
He's being very gracious.
It's a really
on that.
inclusive sport, Ashley. That's what
Yeah.
I'm hearing there. Yeah,
Okay, number 2, Dirty Dancing.
I love it.
expected.
Right.
I did the
great
Academy
Patrick
Awards
Swayze.
and did all that music.
Stop
Dirty
it.
What?
Dancing,
Did you
yeah,
really?
On the Oscars that year, yeah. The 60th anniversary.
What year was that?
I don't know the exact year, but it was
Was
the 60th
Patrick
anniversary.
Swayze around with us
Oh,
at
yeah,
the point
yeah,
still?
yeah, he was there, yeah.
Wow.
He was
so
there.
cool. So as a
Larger than
dancer,
life. Really, we want to know if it was Jennifer Grey pre-nose job, or like where was she at in her nose job
I
life?
don't know.
See,
Yeah.
these are the
Okay,
things.
Patrick Swayze.
Because I didn't do the movie, I just did the Oscars.
Yeah. Still though.
But
That's
Patrick Swayze, did you work with him at all?
I did
or-
not work with him, but he was there at the Oscars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think about him as a dancer?
Amazing.
He was an
Hips-
actor
hips
as a
don't
dancer?
do
is he
that.
pretty
You know,
good?
he's from Texas. He's from Houston.
Oh, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
his mom, Patsy, was his dance teacher, Patsy Swayze. And she trained quite a few professional dancers. And then she moved her school to Simi Valley when he went out there to kind of pursue his career. But he was a very well-trained,
So he was like a dancer
was
first,
legit.
actor second? Like,
yes, dancer first,
interesting.
Very cool.
trained dancer, and then became an actor. And what's your other movie?
Well, my number 2 is Greatest Showman.
Great movie.
Right?
Yeah.
And the
I mean,
dancing?
huge act. I mean, it's brilliant. Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
far I'm winning is what I'm hearing.
okay, all right. I don't know how you interpret that. Okay, number 1, I mean, I don't even care, Jeff, if you like this or not, but I know you will. It's Footloose.
Footloose is not one of my favorites.
Oh my gosh. I should have ended. I knew I should have ended
Rhymes
on Dirty
with
Dancing.
honorable
I mean,
mention.
you
I got
can't.
cocky.
That song is like iconic. I love Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, to me, it was just, you know,
but he had a
the
dance,
ultimate
He had a dance double.
anti-authority movie.
He didn't even do that dancing.
Are you ready for
He
the
didn't
best?
do the dancing? Well, now we're learning some stuff. We got some scoops here.
This
I mean,
is-
I think
this
he
is
probably
awkward.
did some of the stuff, but I like the trickier stuff. They had a dance double.
Yeah.
How do you feel
It's
about
his
this?
cousin Turkey did it. The alternate.
Did you ever see Flashdance?
Good
Kevin
joke. That's a
Turkey
good
Bacon.
joke. He wasn't quite up to the Applewood smoked form of Kevin, but
Did you see Flashdance?
It's still happening.
Oh yeah. Oh, Flash.
That's one of my favorite
The-
movies.
Flashdance is really
This. Get a shot of
Yes.
this.
Or don't.
That was the
or
movie.
don't.
Thing,
Yeah.
almost like water that could come down.
I was
Kevin
on
never
tour with
removed-
the Joffrey Studio Company, and every city we would go to, I would go to the movie theater and watch Flashdance because I was like so sick of doing ballet, and listening to classical music. And I saw that movie and I was like, I want to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But my other favorite dance movie is The Turning Point
Ooh.
with Baryshnikov when
Okay.
he had
Oh,
first
yeah.
defected and was in the United States, and like the most incredible dancing on film, I think.
Well, hold on to
Like
Joffrey because I
real-
do want to get back to that.
Okay.
But can I tell you my number 1?
What is it?
I'm going to be so sad if you don't know it because I really feel like you will. Genuinely the greatest dance movie ever of all time.
Okay.
Center Stage.
Of course I know that. Yeah.
So,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the story of probably every young dancer that you ever trained
Yep.
with an aspiration of making it big and the
Yep.
ins and outs of it. It's so
Yeah.
good, right?
It is very good.
In your face.
Okay. Well, I don't know that was necessarily a decided win on your behalf, but because it was mixed, right?
You
Both of us
literally picked a movie that had a stunt double for the lead.
It's still,
Jodie
they
Sweetin
nailed
definitely
it. They
did it.
executed well. Okay, going back to this, you said you just said turning.
The Turning Point.
Turning Point. What? Any others that come to mind where you're just like they nailed it?
Turning Point, I think, is one of the closest to like it's kind of like Center Stage. Like it really gets into the life of like what dancers really go through and what it's like to be a dancer, and you know the drudgery of like the day in and day out
Bloody
training.
toes.
Bloody toes. You wake up sore. You go to bed sore. You dance sore.
And
like
the drama and the politics. That was wild to me. Like to see that side of it.
Competitiveness
Yeah.
and
So did you watch Black Swan?
I was gonna say Black
Yeah,
Swan
pretty-
is very the backstabbing and
Yeah.
it's very real.
Also,
So
not
that
in your top
industry, let's talk
tough.
about that for a
Eating
second.
disorders
What is?
and-
Yeah, what's some of the just kind of? I mean, we're going to talk about hope. Again, we were joking earlier. This is not called Hope Extinguished; it's Hope Ignited. But obviously, that's from the outside perspective, it seems like a really difficult industry to be a part of. But what are some things that you saw frequently that maybe like the general public doesn't know about, say Broadway, like to be a dancer on Broadway?
I can't.
It's it's a lot harder to get a job in a Broadway show than people think. It's like when Bob Fosse had auditions for his last Broadway show, it was called Big Deal. They had an open call, and I went to the open call, which means anybody can come, even if you're in the union or not in the union. Because generally, if you want to audition for a Broadway show, you have to be in the Actors Equity Union to go to the audition, and they'll check your card. And if you don't have a card, you can't audition. So they had an open call, and there was like probably 2,000 or 3,000 guys waiting in line to go in, 2,000 or 3,000 girls, and for potentially like 4 spots,
And these are probably pretty good, right? Like they're
I mean,
not
this
just
is to be in
totally
the
off
chorus,
street,
like
right?
to be a chorus dancer, not like you're not singing a solo or
Yeah.
having your own song, and you're not really a character. You're just part of the ensemble. But people have no idea how difficult it is to get into.
What's
Did you
your
ever see the movie All That Jazz? That's another
Yeah,
one.
All That Jazz is great.
That's great.
Yeah.
That probably is, because that's based on Bob Fosse's life, and that really shows like what it's like to try to get into a Broadway show.
Oh, man.
Because they show the audition and the whole process, and it's basically Bob Fosse's life.
So what's your favorite Broadway?
Favorite Broadway show
Ever of all time. Ever of all time.
Probably A Chorus Line, because it's the story of
Classic.
dancers' lives, but I really love Les Miserables.
Oh, my
yeah.
Just the music and the story, and just like I don't know, something about
It's the full human experience, right?
and just like it's just like that music touches me. A lot of the Broadway, like the real high singing, doesn't.
It's not for you.
I like more soulful stuff, like more like a Moulin Rouge
Yeah,
or something
I
more
just saw Moulin
contemporary.
Rouge traveling here.
Did you like
And
it?
it was the lead from The Notebook. Noah was the lead for that.
Okay.
He made the show for me. Like, I think I liked it because of him. But I was actually pleasantly surprised. I thought it was wonderful.
Like I love that movie.
Yeah.
I love Baz Luhrmann.
Yeah.
Like, I just think he's a genius.
I thought they did a good job. They, it's sometimes when you see something like that, you're like, will it be as good? And I actually saw Moulin Rouge when overseas, and just like to stand outside of it and to take it all in was a really cool moment. I didn't have a chance to go in, but I loved it. But I'm also like very basic. Like I loved Wicked. I will say,
Wicked.
but I saw Wicked on Broadway with Kristen Chenoweth,
Oh, you
like
did?
and Idina Menzel. Like I saw that I think being there, it's a lot of it's the experience, that, and like the season of life that you're in, and like the way that it makes you feel, to me, is so much more important than the talent on the stage in a lot of ways, because if they can pull that out of you, they've done their job, right?
Jeff, I was always impressed whenever I'd come out of a Broadway show, with my family or whatever, and then you know how they wait out there. Obviously, they're waiting for you guys to come out or whatever, and then it's that moment where you had this person who was an iconic character. And then they just sort of come out in their like jeans
Tiny.
and a hoodie.
Yeah.
And then
They're
they
10 feet tall on
Yeah.
stage, and
And
then they
every-
come out and they're this big.
Yeah, but everyone's like, oh, you signed an autograph. They know who they are for a
Yeah.
second. And then literally 15 feet down the sidewalk, they just disappear into New York.
City.
What a
Isn't that
crazy
amazing?
dynamic.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about New York City, is that you can be somebody and nobody will bother you because you'll just blend in
Yeah.
to the
You
crowd.
don't get that in Sherman, Texas.
No, you don't.
You're such a big deal, which
Always
is why you're
asking for
here today,
autographs and
right?
shit.
Everywhere I go.
Walmart, they know me.
I can't. Okay, so I want to talk about, like, really, I think it's so important for people to understand your journey, because to your point, it's not easy, right?
easy. Totally tough.
earned everything that you have. Let's talk about early dance years for you and kind of what got you into it.
I was always like one of these kids that loved dancing. My mother loved music, and we always had it on in the house, and we would dance together, and it was just part of my life. And then in school, I would go to all the school dances, and like people would crowd around me and watch me dance. And I entered a talent show, and one of the participants, her mother had a dance school, and she invited me to go to her school, and that's where I first started any formal training. And then I saw an ad in the newspaper that a Broadway dancer was doing a class in my hometown. And I went to the class, and afterwards she said, you're really talented. What do you want to do with your dancing? I said, I want to do Broadway. I want to do movies. I want to go on tour. And she's like, well, you're very talented, but you have no technique. If you want to be a dancer, you need to take ballet. And so I was like, I'm not going to take ballet. And she's like, well, then suit yourself, but you'll never be a dancer unless you take ballet, because the first thing you do on Broadway is ballet before they even see you do musical theater. So reluctantly, I went down to we had a really good professional ballet school in my hometown, and I went down, and I was like 15 at the time, never taken a ballet class. And I started taking ballet, and I started taking with little kids that were like 8 and 9 years old that had already been dancing since they were 4.
It's a humbling moment, right?
Yeah, and I had no ego about it because they were better than me.
Yeah.
Like I had no. And then 4 years later, I auditioned for Pacific Northwest Ballet and got into the summer workshop and was invited to be an apprentice with the company. And then I auditioned for the Joffrey Ballet School, but I had auditioned 2 times. The first time I auditioned, They told me I was too short and too fat and that I would never be a dancer.
Amazing.
So I went back and I trained for another year and then re-auditioned and got a full ride, full scholarship.
There you go. That's how you.
That's the story people need to hear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but also, right, like it's like hearing the failure thing. I think that's so much of what, I mean, I'll just ask you right now. We always ask this question, like, what is hope to you and how has that played into your life at a key moment? And I mean, I would say something like that. You obviously set your vision into the future, but tell us about what role hope played for you in that.
You know, hope for me is like every day that I have an opportunity to get out of bed and pursue my dreams and goals is like a blessing to me. And when I first got to the school, it was very challenging because they were still with this. I always had this thing where like they were like, you're smaller, so you have to be really skinny. So then I developed an eating disorder and had to, you know, I wasn't like anorexic, but it was like I developed issues with food.
Yeah.
And so that was probably the heart of all the things I've ever had. I've never been like an addict with anything, but it like all of a sudden then food became an issue for me. And, you know, so I would like starve myself and then overeat and do that whole thing. And that was very hard for me to get over that. And it took me a long time. And when I finally got over it by working out and going to the gym and actually eating more, but, you know, finding ways to develop muscle to burn fat as opposed to starving myself. But that was very difficult. That's probably I feel like one of my greatest accomplishments was being able to tame that sort of demon, that dragon in my life. And so I'm very open and upfront about it with other people. And I tell all of my students that I had this problem in case any of them have that issue, you know, so that
that's so generous.
they're not alone in dealing with that. And also I tell people, you know, it's like you can live without alcohol and you can live without drugs, but you can't live without food.
Right.
Yeah.
And food is everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like every party, you know, like you just walk down the hall, you got snacks and this and that. And it's just food is everywhere. So learning to have a healthy, positive relationship with food is difficult for people that have that affliction. So it really kind of tainted my first few years in New York, because for the first 2 years I was when I got to the school, I was there for 6 months. And they had a studio company, which was like the professional division in the school. And I was invited to join the company. And then it was like even more pressure because now I'm getting paid. I'm a paid professional in the Joffrey Studio Company, the Joffrey Ballet Concert Group. So that was even more pressure on me. So I really had to struggle and really figure out a way to navigate that. And so, you know, I tell all my students, like, you know, like I've been through this. You know, if you ever need anybody to talk to or you have any questions about it, like, you know, get counseling, get help. And
that's hope, though, to your point. I mean, I can't imagine, like, and kudos to you I commend you for that vulnerability that you expressed it in, because so much of like what makes you larger than life is that vulnerability and just allowing like the walls to come down and for people to be like authentically who they are. And for you to navigate them through that. That's such a special, beautiful thing. So that's really great. Thank you for sharing that story with us. I think that's cool. But you go from making it to New York, your dream at that time, to freaking Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
What in the world? Tell me, like, get us to Paula.
You know, I danced with 2 ballet companies in New York, but really what I only ever wanted to do was like, I wanted to be like on stage with, you know, Janet Jackson and Paula Abdul and do the American Music Awards. So I was in New York and I auditioned for a TV series, brand new TV show. They had done the pilot in LA and they were having auditions. They needed 1 guy and 1 girl. They'd already cast everything in LA. They came to New York. Arlene Phillips, who's now Dame Arlene Phillips, she just won the Olivier Award for Best Choreography in London like 2 weeks ago for her production of Guys and Dolls.
Wow.
She was creating this show with a guy named Bruce Gowers, and Bruce Gowers is sort of credited for creating music videos. He did Bohemian Rhapsody for Queen. He directed that video and sort of like launched, you know, music videos as we know them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then he went on to create, you know, he was the director of American Idol and a lot of different shows. But they created a show called Dancing to the Hits. So they came to New York City, had an open call, had an agent call, And out of all the entire guys in New York City, they hired me.
Stop it.
So I was signed for a 5-year contract and relocated to LA. And Paula Abdul was originally supposed to be one of the choreographers on the show, but she got so busy with her recording career. She had just like done her first demo and it was about to take off. She was choreographing. There was one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's movies called Running Man. She was choreographing that. So I went out to LA. I was working on the show, and one of the girls on the show, Aurora Elaine, she was best friends with Paula. And Paula came to the set one day and was watching us tape the show. And I met her, and she's like, I've been watching the show, and I'm a really big fan of your dancing. I really love your dancing. I was like, oh my God, I love you. I'd work for you for free because I just think, you're such a genius. And I guess about 6 months later, we had wrapped our first season. I got a call from my agent. And she said, Paula Abdul wants you to be her dance partner in Blowing Kisses in the Wind.
I can't.
I said, well, that's awesome. When do I go to the audition? And she's like, no, she's requesting you. Like she called me
skip to the
to
front
call
of the line.
you and said, he's my first choice. Would you please see if he'll be my partner? So I was like, yeah. So we actually rehearsed the video in her house, in her dance studio, in her huge mansion up on Mulholland Drive. And we did the video, and we've remained friends all these years.
Is she everything?
She's the nicest, funniest, like she'll belch louder than any sailor.
Yeah.
Hysterical, like just the funniest, nicest, kindest human being. Like I've run into her on airplanes and she's like, come sit by me. And she like, if I'll post something on Instagram, she'll comment on it. If I send her a message, she always messages me back.
That's so wonderful.
Her name is like Abdul, one of the first in my phone. She's really one of the kindest, nicest, most loving human beings that you can ever meet.
Don't you love to hear that? Like, when you hear stories like that. I guess, can I ask you this then on the flip side?
Who don't I like?
Who's in your burn book? That's what I really just want to know. And look, you don't even have to say names. If you do, that's fine. I'll hashtag it. But like, is there maybe somebody that you've worked with that you're just like, they're not all that in a bag of chips?
Yeah.
Who is it? Rhymes with
Fiddler.
Fiddler.
What rhymes with fiddler?
Fiddler. Bette Midler.
The Riddler.
Stop it. You didn't say it. I said it. I heard Bette Midler's not all that great.
She's not the wind beneath your wings.
I choreographed a show for her, and she's just.
I like how you're whispering into the microphone.
Yeah.
She's very.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. Bette's not a frequent listener of our show. So.
She is now.
It was like one of those moments
like
where you have an idol
home
and you're like, oh my God, I'm getting to work with somebody that I've like cherished my whole life. And then you do the experience and you're like, you come in, you're this big, and you walk away and you feel like you're.
See, you just said it. I think that's the thing. Like when we as people are around celebrities and all that, really quickly the initial moment of it's a celebrity goes away, and you're just left with how they make you feel as a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's so special when you're around. Like years ago, we saw John Travolta. We met John Travolta, and we walked away with him just this impression, like, what a nice guy. Like, he was so nice and so kind, and he looked you in the eye, and I thought, that's what he did for 10, or, whatever it was, 20 seconds. I mean, and I'm like telling everyone, he's such a nice guy. Well, all we know, he left, and then he started yelling at his assistant and everything. He didn't, but I'm saying, like, it doesn't take a whole lot, but I think eventually, like, your character is going to come out.
Right.
So these celebrities that are kind of divas, or they look down on people, as opposed to Paula, who came from, she was a dancer, she was a choreographer, she was used to going in there with all of them, and she didn't see herself as some class, elite class above.
She remembers
everyone, right?
what it's like to be a dancer. I mean, she started out as a Laker girl. She was a cheerleader, and the Jacksons had season tickets, and they would go, and she started choreographing for the Jacksons, and then Janet snagged her to choreograph for her, and then her career just took off. And then while she's working with the Jacksons, she made a lot of music industry connections, and she's beautiful and talented, and her recording career kicked off, and she'll be here in June, or I think July, with New Kids on the Block.
Here
performing in Dallas.
Are you gonna go?
Yeah.
I would go for Donnie.
Yeah.
I love Donnie. Who doesn't? So But here's the wild thing is you are the greatest dancer of all time. We can say that. You're the GOAT. You have shared stages and choreographed, and like in your intro we talk about it. I mean, it's incredible what you've done.
Thank you.
But I want you to take us from ballet and Broadway to barrel racing.
Isn't that crazy?
The most
what in the
unexpected
world?
plot twist of all time.
Yeah.
Like,
Thought it was a typo when we saw that on the
Cowboy Jeff is here. Like, talk to us about that.
I've always just been like, I never wanted to do anything. I always wanted to be a dancer, but I didn't know that was a thing. I wanted to be a cowboy. You know, I wanted cowboys and Indians. I wanted to be with the Indians, with the headdresses and riding the painted ponies through. I mean, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I always wanted a horse, and I always asked for a horse, and my family was like, we don't have horses. We don't know anything about it. And when I was in junior high, I had a best friend and boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever.
Yeah.
She had a horse and she barrel raced. And I started going with her, and I fell in love with this sport. And I thought, if I ever can be in a position where I can afford to have a horse, I'm going to get into it. So fortunately, I was successful enough. I bought a horse. Tried to train it myself for barrel race. I did everything wrong.
Yeah.
You know, had a 40-acre ranch up in Washington State. I had a stallion. I was going to brood mares. I was going to make all these barrel horses. I didn't know what I was doing. Not a clue. Like I was a beginner. But I was just convinced that I could do it.
Yeah.
So I did that for many years, and then I was offered a job here in Dallas, and I had gotten better over the years and learned, and became a better rider, became a better trainer, and learned more about the sport, what to do, what not to do. And then I ended up in Dallas for a job and had 2 horses at the time that are very, very amazing, talented horses. And basically moved here 10 years ago. And basically I feel like I started from the beginning with barrel racing, but now I've kind of worked my way up to the ranks where now I can compete against professionals and hold my own and win. I won a race not too long ago, this past summer actually, and the girl that was second was world champion.
Stop.
Yeah. So, and it was somebody that I've heard about my entire life. So that was like.
Did you get a huge belt buckle?
I have 3 huge belt buckles, but it was just sort of like, I couldn't believe that, almost like an out of body experience.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of it's similar to dance in the way you train the horses. There's a lot of slow repetition, positive reinforcement. It's a sport where you go super fast, but you have to always go slow to fix all your issues. So it's very similar to dancing. Dancing, ballet especially, is all about the slow, methodical movements and perfecting the slow movements, and then you go medium, and then you go super fast, and when it doesn't work super fast, you go back to slow. So it's very similar with the horses, but there's also a lot of you get to the point where you're doing really well, and then your horse gets injured. Similar to dancing, you're doing really great, you tear your ACL. You're doing really great, you hurt your back, or you're doing really great, and then the show gets canceled. So there's a lot of ups and downs in the sport that's very similar to the dance world. You know, it's like I signed 5 years to do Dancing to the Hits, and we didn't get picked up for our other years. And I had relocated from New York to LA to do this show, and I was like, well, I gave up New York, and now I'm in LA. So I made the best of living in LA. So now I'm to the point where I've learned enough that I have now bred my own horses. I've raised my own horses. I break my own horses, and I train my own horses.
Oh, you're literally Kevin Costner. I can't. That's wild.
So I'm self-taught. I've taken lessons, and I have mentors that I work with, but probably one of my greatest compliments was one of my mentors is Kay Young, and she's went to the National Finals Rodeo 7 times. And she used to train my horses, and I couldn't afford to have her train my horses anymore. So I got to the point where professionally I was like, you either learn how to do this or you don't do it anymore, because to have somebody train your horse is almost $2,000 a month.
Oh yeah.
And that adds up when you have all your other, bills and everything. So, and I used to tour every weekend doing dance conventions. And so most of the competitions are on the weekends. So I'm in Texas. I have this, chunk of life left where I'm young enough to be able to still physically be able to do this, because it's very grueling on your body, barrel racing. It's very hard on your lower back and your hips and your legs. And so I gave up touring on the weekends to be able to go to shows. And after a couple of years of doing this, Kay knew I do this. She came up to me at a race and she goes, you know how you you gave up going away on the weekends and doing those shows. And I said, yeah. She goes, well, it's paid off because you're really an excellent rider now.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
So that to me was like a huge, when your idol tells you like, you know what, you're making it. So that was a big deal.
Well, when Kay watches this episode, I hope she feels the love.
I'm going to send it to her.
Thanks,
She's amazing.
Thanks,
Kay.
And she's somebody that she had a double mastectomy.
Oh.
And just is 74 years old and still one of the top riders in the world.
I mean, we have
Good
to have
for
her on the
her.
show.
You
Like
should
that's
really
what
have
this
her. I
is
mean,
about. Like,
she's
Great. Congratulations.
talk about hope.
oh yeah.
You know, and yeah, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she's like, take them off. She took them off. She's just basically since then just kind of done everything organically,
Yeah.
and now she's completely fine and just winning. You know, outrunning the 15-year-olds.
Oh,
Wow.
my goodness.
Good
She's
for
phenomenal.
her. Well, Kay, we see you. You got to come on the show.
She's
That's
amazing.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So would you say that being a dancer helped you become a better barrel racer?
It's really similar because it's a lot of coordination. Like your left leg has to do something when your right hand's doing something. And it's basically the fastest tango dance you've ever done with a partner.
We do a lot of tango dancing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I'm a legend.
And it's all about core strength and balance. And, you know, in barrel racing, you can't make any mistakes because you're running against a clock.
One, it's also kind of life and death.
It's
I mean,
life
quite
and death.
literally.
I mean, you're literally going as fast as that horse can run.
We've all seen 8 seconds. We know how this goes. Yeah, it's crazy.
And I've fallen off before, and it's not fun, you know, and the ground is hard.
Yeah.
And you have a horse that's, you know, 5 feet tall and you're going 40 miles an hour and you hit the dirt.
I can't.
It's like a
It's like
yard
flying
dart.
off a motorcycle or something. you
It's
What
know?
are your
like that.
horses' names?
I have Phoenix,
Okay.
Luna, and Sunny.
Oh, I love that.
Those are like
Good
their
horse
barn names.
Those are good horse
I
names.
love it. That's great. So one of the things, and I know we'll have to wrap soon, but I do want you to, one of the things that was so interesting to me when we were chatting earlier, you were talking about kind of a day in the life. And I was just like relishing in how different it was than like our typical day. Kind of tell our listeners what a day in the life is like for you.
Well, when you have horses, there's no day off. Okay, they have to eat every morning and every night. So I get up at 6:30. I don't do anything unless I've had 2 cups of coffee.
Amen.
There you go.
I feel that.
I don't answer the phone. I don't go outside. I let the dogs out, make coffee, sit down, 2 cups of coffee. And then I finally force myself now, because usually I would go out and do all the outside stuff and come back in and eat breakfast. And I'm like, no, you need to make sure you have breakfast.
You'll get
So
jittery if you.
I have my cereal, and then I go out and I feed the horses. And a normal day, I feed them and I come in. I'll have a bowl of cereal. I'll go out, feed the horses, come in, have eggs, another cup of coffee. So now I'm up to 3. Then I'll go out and ride. So now I'm riding 3 horses. You got to groom them, you know, ride them, wash them when it's hot, put them back out. And then I go in, shower, drive to work, an hour and 15 minutes. I usually get there 30 minutes.
One way, right?
One way. I get there usually 30 minutes early to stretch and warm up. And then I'll usually teach for 5 to 7 hours. And then I go home, take care of the horses again, make sure they're okay, feed them again. And then I literally watch TV for 30 minutes. I go to sleep and get up at 6:30, and I do that
Every day, 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
Groundhog Day. I
Wow.
love it.
I mean, you know, you don't get a day off. You
Yeah.
know, like,
Well, so, you know, I was thinking earlier when you were talking about the comparison between the two and how similar they are. And like, you know, you're obviously the kind of person who is comfortable and enjoys, I guess, to some degree, the tediousness of repetition, of getting better incrementally. Can you just talk about that a second? Because I think that's mind-blowing for people.
It's you know, it's like I always tell my students, success isn't like, you know, the beach. It's grains of sand. You know, it's small, little, teeny, you know, if you leave your faucet dripping, you don't really think about that drip. But if you plug that sink up and you go away for a vacation and you forget that faucet's dripping, you're going to come home and your whole house is flooded.
Yes.
That one little
Sand
drip.
crabs are a real thing.
You know, and each little grain of sand adds up to an entire beach.
That's incredible.
So we're sort of in
Yeah.
this generation where, like, you know, swipe left, swipe right,
Yeah,
you know,
immediate
microwave,
gratification.
you know, and horses are very much, it's slow. It's like gardening. You put the seeds in and you water and you the sunshine and then, you know, like one will come up immediately and one will come up late, and they're all getting the same thing, but they all go at a different pace. And that's with training dancers, and that's also with training horses. You know, one will get it right away, one won't get it, but the one that doesn't get it maybe initially will be the one that goes on to become a professional. So even though, you know, they're all getting the same amount of love and sunshine and nurturing, everybody kind of goes at their own pace. And teaching is a lot like that. Like, you have to really like take the individual and, you know, work with each person and their like idiosyncrasies, their strengths, their weaknesses, their personalities, and, you know, help them sort of, you know, it's about helping them see the potential in themselves that I see that they don't realize is there, and having them come to grips with the fact that, you know, I know in your brain, in the back where your private thoughts are, I know you want to be a dancer, and I know you're great, and I want you to know that it's okay that you're going to be great. I'm going to help you be great. So to get into that psyche of like, you know, I know you want to be a great dancer, and I know you're afraid of that power that you have inside you, but I'm going to help you unlock that.
Because it's so much psychological, isn't it?
It's so much, you know, it's like, because it's the same with barrel racing. Like, when you go to a race and you're an amateur like me, and like I'm older than most of these people competing now, and, you know, 5 world champions are at this race, you know, and they've all brought 15 horses because that's what they do for a living, and they ride all day long while I'm teaching. I can't think about what they have done or what they're going to do. I have to think about what I'm doing right now and focus on me and my horse and where we are, and making that the best passage at this race possible.
Yeah, it's just about focus, right? You've got to be able to really like silo those thoughts and like,
because it's so fast. Like, by the time I take off and go to that first barrel, you can't even have a thought and you're there.
Yes.
And the difference between first place and 8th place is like the space between your 2 eyelashes. It's like nothing.
That's wild.
Okay, I question, because I think we have a lot of listeners and folks that have kids that are in dance schools, or they're, you know, anywhere between being the cute little ballerinas that are 5 years old up to maybe they're, you know, on drill teams and whatever else.
LSU world champion.
Yeah, maybe. Or the great Texas Tech right there. Yeah.
They're amazing.
Shout out to the dance team.
Something
I
like
found
that.
out that today is one of the best in the world.
Wrecked them in the
One of the
national
best, yeah.
championship. Sure did.
So anyway, the question I have for you is kind of like, what is some advice that you may have as a master instructor for parents who are trying to decide how much they should sort of force their kids to do it, that dynamic of like, my kid likes it, they are good at it, but kids are kids and their attention drifts. What kind of advice do you give to parents about that, about how to support them? But, you know,
first thing I would tell parents,
win the lottery.
Teach your kids left from right.
Oh, that's good.
They don't know.
Like,
they really don't know. They have to do this.
This saved my life.
Yeah.
Still does.
The L on the phone.
I've got 16 and 17-year-old that are doing this. I said, you're going to drive? What are you going to do? This Siri says go left. You're going to let go of the steering wheel and go like, I mean, any kind of, I mean, remember we were a kid, well, when I was a kid, we did the hokey pokey. You put your right foot in, right foot out. You shake it.
At the roller rink, at the skating rink.
We would do it in school.
Right
like
before the dice game.
You know, I think, first of all, if you're going to have your kids do anything, teach them left from right. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, no.
Get them off their phones.
Yeah.
Get them on the floor. Teach them their body parts. This is my ankle. This is my knee. This is my calf. This is my hamstring. If they're going to dance, like, make them aware of the different parts of the body and make them follow through. Like, you know, make them like, I'm going to sign you up for dance. You're going to make a commitment, whether you like it or not. If you're going to start in September, you're going to go till June. You're not going to quit.
So put a timeline on it.
That's really good.
You might, if you sign them
goals.
up, you're gonna follow through and you're gonna do it. Yeah. You're gonna go every week. And if you decide after a year that you don't want to do it, then you can decide. But you're gonna finish this year, and then we'll reevaluate. And if it wasn't for you, then we'll try something else.
I love that. That's
but
great advice.
Don't let them quit. Like whether it's piano or any kind of
Mm-hmm.
instrument, make them follow through with it.
Yeah.
And if they love it and they want to do it, they're going to discover that. No amount of pushing and shoving is going to make a kid want to do it. And it's not going to, I mean, and they might be really gifted and they might be phenomenal, but if they don't love it and they don't have that, like, it's like it has to be like oxygen for you to be a professional dancer.
Yeah.
And when my 17 and 18-year-olds, I'm like, do you want to be a dancer? And they're like, well, yeah, maybe. And I'm like, well, it's not going to happen for you. I said, you can't have a plan B.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to, Bon Jovi talk the other day. He's like, he never had another plan other than to be a rock star. And if you want to be a successful dancer, there can't be plan B and plan C. Well, I need this to fall back on. No, this is the plan. I'm going to do this.
Well, and you even said it. There's 4,000 people that were wanting to get a handful of spots or something for one of the shows. And yeah, I mean, I think that like we all as parents are looking at how much we should push our kids, and we want to give them opportunities we didn't have maybe, but it's you don't want to be that like, oh, I don't want to be the helicopter parent who's forcing my kids to do stuff and attending to every need. So it's like this tension I think that parents have where they don't know. Do you ever have parents that you have to pull aside and like talk to and go, hey, you need to chill out?
Yeah.
Like you notice
That's actually
that
how
like
we met,
they're
'cause I
like
am that
whipping them or
parent,
something in the parking lot with
The whole dance competition thing, the parents. They're like watching through the window and like and they get very much talking about the other kids. I'm like, don't do that. Like, don't talk about other people's kids. Compare your kid to other children. Don't do that. It's bad. We had a dancer a couple of years ago, phenomenal dancer, total potential caliber, a guy, and he decided he didn't want to do it anymore. And his mom, what should I do? What should I do? I'm like, if he doesn't want to do it, he's not going to ever be successful of it, because there are other guys that are just as good as him that's all they want to be.
It's not his oxygen.
It's
That was so good.
Yeah. It's like he needs to find his thing that's going to make him thrive and want to get out of bed every day and go to do that. Whatever. If it's not dance, then find your thing.
Yeah.
Find your thing that's going to make you excited to get out of bed every day. And some days I'm out with the horses and it's like, 20 below zero here, and we have the freeze, and I'm carrying water and I'm slipping and falling and the water's all over me and there's snow on the ground in Sherman. And I think, when I was a kid, I would have done it in bare feet to take the water to those horses. And I remind myself like how I always was begging for a horse. All I ever wanted were a horse. If I knew somebody had horses 5 miles away, I would walk there. I got in trouble once when we lived in North Carolina. There was a horse show at the gate of the military base, and we lived 4 miles in, and I saw the horse show, and I snuck and went all the way to the horse show just to walk around and pet people's horses. And then it started to get dark, and my family started looking for me. And I started walking through my neighborhood, and all the kids were like, your parents are looking for you. You're in so much trouble. You're in trouble. And I was like, I got in so much trouble, but it was so worth it because I got to pet a horse.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And that has to be like,
that's a fuel. Yeah.
You have to have that desire,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, to whatever your passion is, medicine or helping other people or dance or gymnastics or horses or, riding a skateboard, whatever it is, it has to be your oxygen.
Yeah.
It has to be your everything
to
be successful.
So good. That's so good.
And not to say that you can't do other things. Like, I love dance, I love horses, and I apply the same skill set to become successful. And I feel blessed and fortunate that I found two things. I could have interchanged them. I could have just done horses and been just as happy.
Well, and then I would argue teaching too. I mean, you're so skilled at that, and like to be able to take your talent and your
I get
skills.
just as much out of teaching as I did being on stage and performing.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, that's so wonderful. You're giving back to the next generation so that they can have that same love.
That's my joy now, is doing that.
Well, there's so many people that are going to watch this episode today that were already a fan of yours, but a lot of people that are just discovering you for the first time. Tell our listeners where they can find you and kind of what's next for you.
I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, Jeff Amsden, Jeff A. Amsden. And I guess about 3 years ago, I qualified to go to the World Championship and top 10 run for the World Championship in amateurs, and I was 11th.
Stop.
Missed it by like 1,000th of a second. I was sitting 10th before you run twice. I was sitting 10th. I went to dinner with my friend thinking, I'm in. No. I'm going to do better, because I knew if I could get in there the third time, I was going to win. Yeah. And I got bumped down one. Somebody was just a little bit faster. So I would like to, I'd like to win on my horse Luna that I helped give birth to, and now she's 4 and she's ready to go, and she's probably the most talented animal that I've ever been on. So that
like
is
a
a
movie.
big goal, to win on her. And then I have a 2-year-old named Sonny who I also bred. He's a half brother to her, the same mother. So to win on those 2 horses is like a big goal and dream of mine. And my 14-year-old Phoenix I've had since he was a baby too, and I trained him, and along with my friend Kay Young, she helped me train him, and now he's won for me. So just to keep winning and keep improving and getting better, and you know, and do it while I still physically can.
Well,
know?
when you win, will you come back and tell
will.
us all about it? You promise?
Yeah, and wear the
Okay.
buckle too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
well,
love
I would have
that.
worn, you know,
I'm here.
would have worn a buckle today.
Yeah,
Next
we
time.
should. I know.
I
We
didn't know there
should.
would
We
be
should have given you a
camera.
heads
I thought
up.
it was just my voice.
Well, yeah, we go all out here on
You
Hope
totally
Ignited.
do.
We go all out. Well, you've heard it here. He's coming back. We
Yeah.
literally
I
cannot
totally
wait for
will come
that.
back, yeah.
It's going to be so much fun. And bring Kay.
I will.
We'll bring Kay
Yeah.
and we will celebrate
would love
Luna. It's going to be so great. Well, thank you so much for your time, especially hearing a day in the life. We know how busy you are. I just think it's incredible that you gifted us with your time today. And I genuinely think you might be the most interesting person that I've ever met.
No
Yeah.
way.
I'm serious.
Wow,
like
I'm
it just,
honored.
it's so incredible. And thank you for making me feel like I was right with Center Stage. The world knew, but then when the master trainer says
I leave here a little
Center Stage
disappointed
is
in
classic.
your views on
It's the
Footloose, but
greatest.
I
other than
love
that-
Kevin Bacon. I think he's amazing. Just Center Stage just got some
Center Stage
amazing-
was I
need to
haven't
watch
seen
it.
it yet, so I will watch it.
So many famous
shame.
dancers.
I promise.
Shame. You have to watch
and
it
Turning
tonight.
Point again. I
Turning
feel like I
Point,
remember that when I was a
Flashdance.
kid.
If you haven't seen Flashdance,
Oh,
go back and
Flashdance
watch
is
that.
great.
Yeah.
That's a
Because the
classic.
routines in that Jeffrey Hornaday, the choreographer, did are still like they stand up today, and that movie's like 30.
and it's
40 years
referenced
old.
so much by so many other
Yeah.
movies and
Yeah.
pop culture.
That's everybody's homework tonight to go watch
Yeah.
those. Well, I do want to, we would be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to our producer, Douglas File, who couldn't be here today. He actually hurt his back in a twerking competition, I think. So
Yeah, he said
he-
it was just, he was just working out, but we know
he
better.
was
Anyway,
pop, lock,
Doug,
and drop it. Doug,
he
we
was
hope you
working it
feel
out.
better.
Yeah, he's working it out. All right.
Doug, we're praying
Right.
for you. We
Hang
love
in there,
you.
Doug. We
Chill
love you,
it,
Doug.
chill it on the twerking, Doug. But we appreciate you again so much,
Thank
and
you
what
for
an
having
amazing
me.
episode.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
I know you guys are gonna love our next one. It's coming soon, so we'll see you guys right back here on Hope Ignited next time.